Good evening and welcome to Hockey on 216, brought to you by Edgar's. I must say it's been a start of the season. I'm joined by Avuyile, Essex and Hope in studio. Welcome back, Hope.
Thank you so much.
You must be wondering why I'm giggling. I mean, there's always so much happening in studio. Avuyile, I'm going to start with you. You mentioned just before we started that you gave yourself a weekend. Can you tell us what your weekend was about? Can you give us the detail, like that fairy tale story?
No, there's no fairy tale story. Obviously, it was a long weekend. There was a lot of hockey happening, but not a lot of, boys hockey that needed me to be around and busy and stuff like that. So I had a bit of a breather after the All Girls Festival. And yeah, just had a nice chilled weekend for the first time in a while.
We can see the glow.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Essex, welcome back.
Thank you. Feels good to be back.
No, we did miss you. I won't lie, I missed you. I really, really missed you on the show.
I'm back now.
I thought you'd have your whole brace on and everything else going.
No, not yet.
Oh, do you want to tell the viewers why you were why you went MIA?
I was on holiday. I took a break from the show. Yeah, hockey injuries. It happens, but yeah, let's see what the final say is about that.
Okay, is this the end of your hockey career?
I doubt it. Still masters in a few years' time.
Okay, cool. I love the enthusiasm. Hope,
Hi.
welcome back.
Thank you
Are
for
you
having
excited?
me. I'm always excited.
Well, I love the fact that Hope is always excited, and I'm happy to have you in the show again. I hope you join us for the rest of the season. You know, I'm putting it out there. I really am putting it out there. I think you're good vibes, man. That's how Hope speaks, guys. But anyway, there's so much to talk about for this show. We're talking about results from the All Girls Festival. We're talking about results from the Belgotex Girls Challenge and everything girls hockey, and lots more to look forward to. Essex, I know you were down in Cape Town at the Girls Festival, and I think we'll touch on that a bit later. But as you can see there, the results from the All Girls Festival, the Belgotex Sports Girls Challenge as well, from semis to the finals. I mean, Oranje took their cup home again. Waterkloof is also something to talk about. Avuyile, what do you have to say about all the festivals?
Yeah, obviously, had a peep at the All Girls Festival happening down at Renish. All Girls obviously is becoming a festival now, a tournament between the girls' schools growing in prominence. Oranje doing the business in the final against their biggest rivals now, Renish. I went down to a shootout. Interesting final, as always, between the two Bloemfontein and sort of Stellenbosch sides. So yeah, I think it was a very, very entertaining festival, and how fitting, that the final is Renish and Oranje again.
Yeah, it's interesting that they've played each other for so much this year.
Yeah.
There's still no runaway winner of the fixture. I think for it to go to shootouts as well shows how tight the game is, and the two teams competing obviously at a high level. And there's nothing to give both. I think both teams are sharpening up as the season goes by. I'm definitely sure this is not the last time we see them play against each other.
100%, yeah. I think it was 3 draws. They played each other 4 times this year. 3 draws and 1 win for Oranje, but a narrow win. So, yeah, I'm excited to see the 5th game.
Yeah,
I mean,
it didn't go all unbeaten. I think
Yeah.
Oranje had a game against Collegiate in the pool stages.
Yeah.
Collegiate won that game. And I think they did their work throughout the week to come back in the semi-final playing Collegiate again. If I'm not mistaken, Collegiate went 1-0 up, then eventually losing the game 2-1. Yeah.
But yes, I mean, looking at this clip and looking at the build-up, to the finals of the All Girls Festival, what do you guys think about the build-up, to the final? The one game that I know that I did see was the game against Unisi as well, so that was something to look forward to, and seeing how Renish kind of push forward. Now you're looking at Collegiate, get into this, what do you guys then think of that build-up?
Yeah, for me, sorry, it shows again, if you compare this to the earlier festivals where you're playing one way, and now it's a second half, there's 2 halves, you come back from being 1-0 down to win 2-1. It shows a lot of character from the Oranje team. Also, never to give up. It is so close. I mean, the margins in the game now at the moment are quite short. So, yeah.
It takes guts also to come back. I mean, you know, we mentioned earlier on, Oranje lost that first game in the pool stages. Then they came back in the semi-finals to beat them 3-1, trailing 1-0 at the break. And, you know, I was speaking to Coach Mone on it. I'll say he made a couple of changes in the first game, testing things out, and then had to make changes again for the semi to win that one. So it takes guts to, you know, mentally just to switch on again, you know, facing a team that's beaten you and coming back and beating them again. So I think from on Oranje's perspective, you know, congrats to them coming back. Renish as well did well in the pool stages, in the semis, managing to beat Unisi and just falling short in the final there.
I mean, when finals get this tough, you know, what do you think makes the difference in matches like this?
Hope, yeah,
Your-
coach.
So, first of all, I'd like to say that the quality of that final was really next level, as we can see on the screen over there. And the fact that it went into shootouts, as I've said previously, just showcases at what high level and what like great programs everyone is running. But yeah, for me in particular, it's a bummer for Renish to not have made it through, but big ups to Oranje for pulling it through. Yeah, great goals scored by the Oranje players as well. So for me, it was a give and take, touch and go. But yeah, obviously great showcase.
I think what makes it a good final as well is the tactical ability of both teams.
Yeah.
Look, it's like I said, it's not runaway finals that we're watching or games between the two sides. They teams that are technically doing the right things and tactically doing the right things. And finals are about small margins.
Yeah.
You make 2-3 mistakes, you find yourself 3-0 down in the final. But it's always going to be KG. Renish is playing at home. I mean, I think
We
for
always
them
talk
to,
about the mental prep as well, you
Yeah.
know, that goes into that.
Yeah, for them to rock up like that, and look, it's shootouts. I always say to my players, shootouts is a lucky packet draw. You might win one today, you might lose one later on in the day. And it takes BMT and having the correct players and the right players mentality-wise to actually go on and take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Renish will be quite disappointed. I know Coach Chris Gerber will be quite disappointed not winning this year's tournament because, you know, I don't know, I've actually tried to count how many times they've lost out on shootouts in crucial moments in a final. You know, I think last year as well at the Super 12, they went down on shootouts. This year at St. Mary's, they went down on shootouts. So, you know, it looks like there's a shootout hoodoo, you know, in there.
Shootout what?
A shootout hoodoo. But, you know, they're playing such great hockey, especially in tournaments. They just, you know, those shootouts are something that, you know, that's bothering them at this point in time. But have no doubt they'll get over that and, you know, get a title in that cabinet quite soon. But Oranje just showed composure during those shootouts, man. They just looked like they were in control. Their goalkeeper was on another level as well. Have to give credit and shout out to her. And yeah, they sealed their second, you know, piece of silverware this season.
I mean, for teams like Renish, you know, what do you have to say for them getting to that shootout hoodoo, you know? They obviously put their heart and souls of it. They play well, you know, they're the hosts as well of tournaments like this, you know. And like you said, I'm sure coaches do feel some type of way to it. But, you know, with you being a female coach as well, and coaching, you know, girls teams as well, what's your take, you know, to the build-up, you know, getting to that last hurdle, you know, and not lifting the trophy?
As I've said previously on the show, obviously it takes a lot of mental preparation as well. Yes, giving a shout out to video analysts doing tactical perspective and all that, but it's really tough staying on the same, I want to say high from one game to another game. I mean, you just won your semis, now going into an even bigger game, into the final. It really is tough staying on that same wavelength, especially from a coaching perspective. So I can even think it's worse from a playing perspective because we need to be realistic. As I've said, it's day 3, your body is tired, you literally running your tank empty, and yeah, you might have 10 minutes still to play, but yeah, one moment can cost you the game, unfortunately. So,
True.
Yeah, I'd say that's the biggest thing to manage.
I mean, Essex, you know, we're not getting into the detail yet of what the Belgotex Girls Challenge was like, but just feedback on, you know, on what Hope has said about teams like that getting, you know, to the finals and everything else. What are your thoughts around, you know, the build up to those teams and finals or teams getting to those finals?
Yeah, look, it's lost a fair share of finals myself. It's never a nice feeling in the moment.
No.
But I think you've also got to keep it into perspective to say, look, when you start a tournament, I'll use national IPT. There's 12 teams that are gunning to play for those last 2 spots. So it's quite a privilege to get there. To fail at the last, you got to say, is it a failure? I think, it's not really. You've done everything to get there. And like I said, losing a final in shootouts, you can say that, because they've come back. They're 1-0 down in that game, and they could have given up. You could have gone 2-0, 3-0. They still had a fight to take it to shootouts. Yeah. And it's a lucky packet draw. Sometimes it goes your way. So as a coach, I think you got to keep the perspective of at every tournament they've gone to, they've done well. Yeah. They've been part of the last few teams to be knocked out of those tournaments. And there's a lot of positive to take out of that. Might not be the trophy now, but eventually, hopefully then it'll start coming and you'll start winning those finals. And I think with shootouts, something that we saw over the weekend as well is you might have your 5 players and 3 of them could be having a bad game and you've got to change your 5 that's taking.
Definitely.
So sometimes,
there's a lot of heart that players take into that.
Yeah, there's a big debate that we have is, do you choose your 5 and you stick with your 5, or do you choose the 5 best players who've had a good game to take that 5? So,
very hard decision for coaches as well, hey?
Look, for me, it's not up to me to make that decision.
So who makes the decision?
The players.
You need to back yourself.
You as a player need to back yourself to take a shootout, and in order for you to take it, then you're confident. If I put you there and you've had a bad game, I'm also kind of throwing you in the dark to have a worse game.
I was gonna say you know you've got the A list of
players.
You do have your bankers, but again, this is not Erling Haaland earning so much money a week that it's his job. It's school sports. School sports, and if you're not feeling for it, I won't push my kids towards that.
I guess it's also then just building, that confidence into the kids. And like you're saying, that they need to back themselves up into everything else that they're doing. But I think the most exciting thing, with you being down at the Girls' Festival is, the Waterkloof win. I think that was a game. I think it was a 2-1 score, 3-1, 4-1?
1-0.
Testing you, 1-0?
1-0 in the final.
1-0. Okay, great. I mean, we're just testing your memory to see if you were actually there. But anyway, what is your take, on the build-up, to Waterkloof's win, throughout the festival? We talk about, from quarterfinals all the way to the finals.
Yeah, Kat, I think before we get into teams, firstly, big shout out to the Belgotex team, the Enhanced Sports team.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best tournaments I've been to. Yeah. In terms of the vibe, the atmosphere, the tournament was quite intense.
The photos.
The vibes, the photos.
Photos all the time.
I don't like all the photos. It's a photo of me doing something, But shout out to that team. Shout out to the team. I think the format was quite nice. It was 8 pools of 3 teams.
Yeah,
you had to come number 1 to play in a cup quarter. And it's not easy teams in your pool. You got to get the job done every game. So the format is quite challenging. It keeps you on your toes from day one.
And what format is that?
It was, like I said, 3 in a pool. You've got to come. Number 1 goes into the cup. Number 2 in the group goes to the plate. Number 3 goes to the ball. So they've kind of pushed an energy of you playing for something no matter where you
all finish. Or nothing.
Yeah, there's a trophy for each section. So it was quite nice. First day, you kind of focused on your team. Where do you want to finish? And I think just going forward, for me, the tournament, the level of hockey again. I know we've spoken a lot about the level of hockey at this on the show. It was amazing. Waterkloof's road to the final. Tough games. It was not easy games for them to get there. They had to pull some good wins. Yeah.
Also, you don't get to the final. You don't beat Palchem. Nobody just beats Palchem. Just it's a proper
underdogs.
Team. Beating them at their own home, at their own turf, in fact.
Yeah.
Which was quite interesting. I catch some glimpses of that game, and obviously, as we've seen, take a look at some of the shots there. Some cracking goals scored. In the semi by Waterkloof, and as you mentioned, Essex, their road to the final quite extraordinary, and that final against Collegiate then very tight. They end up winning it 1-0, and credit to them. Another looks like Pretoria is enjoying bringing trophies. That's a second trophy in about 2 weeks now, going back to Pretoria. So that's massive for Coach Omar Pinachia there on the side.
Yeah, look, it was never going to be an easy route or easy road to final for Hoërskool Waterkloof, but Essex, as you've mentioned earlier in the show, they know how to manage a tournament, and yes, they are a team that people should look out for. And I do think that grit and determination and BMT is something that showcased very well for this team in particular. This game in particular was 3-0 in favour of Waterkloof, and then Paarlgem came back, made it 3-2. And the game before that, Hoërskool Waterkloof had to beat Kloof, St. Mary's Kloof.
Yeah.
So it was
That's
never going to be
team.
easy. Yeah, it's, as we all know, Coach Chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hope, sorry to interrupt. This goal is amazing.
Wow. Alanda Rademacher, what a player. She is one of the players I actually rate. And for those of you watching St. Mary's Waverley, she scored, I'm pretty sure, one of my favourite goals.
And
Cool.
I must add, I think this past weekend I saw somewhere that she scored 100 goals for Paarlgem.
Yeah.
For the first team.
Yeah, for the first
For the
team
first team,
alone,
not
yeah.
counting the under 14.
That
yeah.
is an insane record, and they have a gem down at Paarlgem. They seem to be producing these gems not only on the rugby field but also on the hockey astroturf, which is quite nice to see.
I mean, what do you think stood out more as well, in the whole tournament? Now we are then getting into the collegiate game. There were some really good teams out there. But if you look at some of, the scores around collegiate in the tournament and so forth, how did you think then they pushed forward, in the tournament?
Yeah, I've always been impressed with collegiate. Like, obviously, one of the teams that I cover in the Eastern Cape is collegiate, and been watching them for the past couple of years now, growing under Coach Michael Abrahams, and the work that they've been doing there down in Gqeberha, sort of becoming one of those powerhouse schools alongside DSG Makhanda. So I was really not surprised when they reached the final of this year's tournament, and it was quite also interesting to see them go back-to-back with all girls. A couple of days later, go to Belgotex. They did that as well last year. Didn't quite work out well because they didn't finish in the top two at Belgotex, but they managed to get a high seeding. But it was nice to see them reach the final. So unlucky just to lose that final by a goal to nil. But progress is being made. They've got great players in that team. We always talk about the likes of Kieran Gillies, but they've got star-studded players around the pitch.
Yeah, well, if I have to give any compliments to collegiate, it's the way they play tactically.
Yeah.
Throughout I think the past 3 years, they've been playing the exact same format, but whatever they've been doing, they've been getting it right, and they've been getting the results. So yeah, massive kudos to them.
I mean, before we get into the final, I just wanted to get your thoughts. When you compare both tournaments, right, what's your take on the girls' hockey element? What do you think is that rhythm or that theme that they use to keep going, to push forward and also just, put themselves at that elite level?
Look, I think the girls want to want to compete at a high level, and I think that's the one thing for me that stands out. To do 2 back-to-back high-quality tournaments takes a lot on the body. And look, we haven't spoken about the final, and I think you could have seen in the final that they've played 11 games. I think I spoke to Coach Michael. It was 11 games in something like 8 days.
Yeah.
So it's quite a lot of games, but I think you've got to want to compete. For your school, you've got to want to compete and be better as a player. That keeps them going. And from what I've seen from both tournaments and looking at St. Mary's, the girls' hockey standard is rising in the country.
Yeah.
The type of
Definitely.
hockey, it's not one-dimensional. It's becoming more tactical. It's becoming more technical. I was very impressed, like I said, with collegiate. Some of their players, they had very good players. Sophia, is it Janssen?
Yeah.
Very good player. She's in grade 9 and she was handling herself like a...
And she's playing first team.
Yeah.
She was handling herself like a pro. There's a lot of standout players throughout the week. I think Lenique, who was player of the tournament at the Belgotex, had a very good tournament. A solo goal against Paarlgem from her own half, running all the way, top bins. So the quality of hockey is very high.
Yeah. I mean, before we get into that, I know we don't have a lot of time, but before we get into the break, Hope, do you want to take us through the final, like 2 seconds of you taking us through the final.
Yeah, it was Waterkloof and Collegiate. Obviously, no score, first, second, or third quarter. There was like 3 minutes left in the final quarter, and Elaine Haycock, I believe, did her magic there in favour of Wishkal Waterkloof, which just gave them that top edge over Collegiate. So for me personally, it was a great finish. Essex, I don't know what your takes are on.
You could cut the tension in Cape Town during the game. It was such a nice game to watch. It was tactical. Speaking to some of the girls, they knew it was going to be tough.
Yeah.
That was the conversation to say it's going to be tough. I think a lot of people was already saying shootouts, who's going to win in shootouts, and then boom, you score that goal because you keep going. And I must say, throughout the final, what was impressive to see was Waterkloof stayed in a full press nearly for the whole game. Full pressing, making it tough for them to get out.
That takes a lot of work, eh?
Yeah. Look, it was a proper final.
Okay. Look, I mean, there's so much to talk about, and I think Essex could definitely take us through the whole challenge because he was down in Cape Town, you know. So many questions, so many comments, and everything else. But after the break, we will definitely be going into the save of the month. I hope you guys have been watching. I hope you guys have been clipping, but we'll see you after the break.
Coach Cooks here. Do you remember what we were doing 5 years ago? I remember where I was. In April 2021, SuperSport started something big, something bold, something that changed the way we see the sports we love. Over 40 sports right across the country, from basketball in Soweto, rugby festivals as Lalin, water polo in Durban, rowing in Makanda, cricket in the Midlands, and every other sport you can think of. War cries, amakwijo, blazer displays, marching band. Jeez, can't forget a booty roll as well. Man, we've seen it all. And whenever you could not be there in person, all of that incredible school sport has been right here in the palm of your hands. After 5 years and over 1.5 million subscribers later, SuperSport Schools has grown from just giving young South Africans their time to shine to being the breeding ground for tomorrow's champions. What a story. SuperSport Schools would not be 5 years old if it weren't for the schools, the coaches, parents, and most importantly, the athletes. Happy birthday, SuperSport Schools. Here's to the next 5 years of sporting memories.
I just don't have a voice to sing, but happy 5th birthday to SuperSport Schools, as you guys have seen that video. But it's a welcome back. This is still Hockey on 216, brought to you by Edgar's. Now, I won't waste your time, but we're just going to get into the save of the month by Edgar's. We did mention it in the last show that we will be choosing 4 saves, that you guys need to vote on. These saves will be put on our website, and that's where you guys will then find your voting link. But anyway, let's have a look and see what those 4 saves look like.
Eventually get it. If not, they captain now on the ball. Captain goes to the middle. Oh, just a turning. Flick. Oh! 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 Run to dive! Oh, what a save!
And Lita Cry comes into the D. It's Lita Cry. And that time it is denied by John Russell. Yeah. But it's a scary moment if you're a Paul Roos supporter. The replay, I beg your pardon, look at, he's got to stick to it.
Yeah, Presley got to stick.
Man,
got to stick.
Jason Presley, that was a moment for you this weekend.
Awile.
What's up?
Tabang's always screaming on the mic. How do you guys commentate together?
Nah, Tabang Mighty, what a guy, man. Nah, man. What a guy. No, he's passionate, he's passionate. Once he's in the mic, you can hear him in the Ruan Tutoy.
Yes, we heard it in that first video.
Very passionate guy. That's my guy, man. Tabang
He's
Mighty.
doing very hard to convince us.
You thought I was excited.
Look, guys, I mean, we saw those 4 saves. What do you guys have to say about it? Essex, I'm going to start with you.
Look, we have some quality goalkeepers. I think, I don't know if we're allowed to have personal favourites, but there was a double save. The agility of these keepers to use your stick. We've saw it different, using glove, using stick, using your feet, going down on the floor. So quite quality goalkeeping happening in the country.
And then I know you were screaming, Annika, in the background.
Well, actually, we had an off-screen debate about keeper awareness. Like, do keepers know how big their goal box is? So sometimes keepers make a stick save either over goals or next to goals. And for me as a coach, it's sort of a non-negotiable. Essex, I don't know how you see things.
Look, you got to be able, if you look at the clearing save, it's a good second save. She's made the first one with a glove and body. She has the awareness to use a stick. And I think was it the last
And then the
clip
Jason save?
I like the Priestley save because I was in commentary for that one.
Hear your voice.
No, not that. No, I was in commentary for that one. And JD and I actually thought that Presley hadn't got a stick on the ball. And I think also context is important for that save because it's a semi-final of the Hibbert Shield. It was 2-2 at that point. I think it was 2-2, yeah. If PV had scored, then it changes the tide of the game. So him getting a touch on that ball, was quite important. Doesn't matter whether the ball was going over the crossbar or not. What matters is that he got a touch on that, and that counts as a save. On the stats pack, that's a save.
Of targets.
Anyway, we've got the audience to obviously vote on the best save. Everybody's got their personal favorites, and we're hoping to see, what the people out there have to say. And I hope we get more of these, So if anybody does get to see more saves, please do send them to us, and then let's see how we get this competition going. But anyway, just a quick highlight on the boys' side, where Michael House beat Hilton College.
Oh, that was a cracker of a game. It was never going to be an easy game. I know prior to the match, Coach Nick Bereshon said they're playing a massive side. And so score was 4-2 in favour of Michael House. They played at Hilton College. And the two goals that were scored for Hilton were Santiago Matruis, both of them, one of which was penalty corner and one of which was a field goal. And after the game, Coach Damien Kimfley said that they had a few cracks in their defence, and I'm sure that they want to sharpen that up.
Before we close off the show, Friday Night Lights, Avuyile. What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, obviously there's a lot happening around the country, but I think the main focus this weekend on DStv Channel 216 will be HDS Middelburg versus Hoërskool Middelburg. I think the town of Middelburg will come to a standstill. It always does during that massive derby. And it's two schools that really, always go under the radar. So it's nice to see them getting the spotlight and on a Friday night where everyone can just tune in on DStv Channel 216 and watch, one of the biggest derbies, that town has to offer. And elsewhere as well, in Pretoria, there's massive games. In Cape Town, there's Sachs versus Rondebosch, Wynberg versus Bishops. In the Eastern Cape, Grey High are playing Queens, Dale versus Selborne. I know Collegiate are playing Pearson on Saturday morning. So there's just a lot happening, around the country.
Look, there's so much to talk about in hockey, like I always say, but thank you so much, guys, for joining me for this episode. We are episode 8. We've done well. I think we've got a good thing going. And that's it from us, from the Hockey on 216 team, brought to you by Edgar's. A big shout out to Edgar's for always supporting us, and looking forward to seeing you guys next week.